Let me just ask you a question. Why do you think some of these, like what is race, I just allowed you to fill in the blank, as opposed to gave you categories?
We just did it.
It's your own personal what you identify as.
Yeah, it's what you identify with. I could have a list of about 100 different ways to describe people and it still wouldn't be enough. So it's just easier a lot of times, instead of you trying to identify what somebody is in terms of their race and ethnicity, allow them to identify who they are.
An illustration might be if you met Dr. Morrison and you know that Christian religion, Christian culture is very prevalent in African American communities. Now, I don't know how it was for her right when I meet her, but I can assume that it was probably prevalent in her community. And let's say she then tells me, I'm not very religious. I was never very religious. Okay, I know that African American culture often is very religious. So now I start thinking, what's it like for a person who identifies as African American who is not very religious when I know that Christianity is very prevalent? Does that make sense?
You just blew my mind, man.
That's the difference. But does that make sense? That's what they're grappling with. So, and that does matter, because that's going to have an effect on how she thinks about herself as a person, how she thinks about African American culture, how she interacts with other people, etc. So these global things are really useful because the global things are always true in a global way, and then it's up to us to kind of figure out how does this then impact that individual. And even if they reject it, in rejecting it, that's going to be part of who they are.
And what we're talking about is not the traditional sense of stereotyping. We could lump it as stereotyping, sure. But traditional sense of stereotypes when we're talking about racial groups are very, 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 very negative in nature. All black people rob, all Asian people can't drive, all white people can't dance. I could keep the list going and going and going. All Latinos are thieves. Those are the negative stereotypes. What we're trying to do is just bring an extra layer of understanding to stuff.
We can't jump either.
We cannot jump.
I would disagree with that. Can't jump.
I can do it.
Or dance?
No.
I know many African Americans who cannot dance. So.
My daddy cannot dance at all. Not a lick.
So then we're going to go into like Latinos, which we can do. I'm nervous on time, so I don't know if you wanted to go just to the...
No. I mean...
But understand that, again, every inner city mentality might not trust the suburban mentality. It's, well, why should they? Why should they? They haven't been given many gifts. They haven't been given many, like, dealt really good cards. So when you come in, white, black, or anything, because I'm black, I go in there, they're still kind of looking at me like, what's this dude about? They're always like, well, why? I opened up for a group one time for boys. I run a program called Boys to Men. It's for all kinds of students. In this group, it was particularly like the Crossroad kids. The kids are like on the line, and I'm telling them, I want to come in here. I want to help you guys reach the goals you want to reach right from the jump. Because you'd be surprised how many kids don't hear you can be whatever you want. And no one ever says it. No one ever gives you kind of the bag. No one gives you a star after middle school. So I do that. And one of the kids says to me, he goes, "Why us?" That's what he said to me. He was an ethnic kid. He goes, "Why us?" And not to get all mushy, but it kind of broke my heart because this kid had never been given anything in his life. And I'm trying to offer him something for free, and he was like, "Why?" Like he was almost rejecting it. Like, why me? Like, what's the catch?
Yeah, didn't trust.
And because of stuff like the, the syphilis experiment and other things, slavery, oppression, all these, there's a lot of mistrust, distrust, miscommunication, and there's been a huge gap between Caucasians and African American cultures and others as to how do we bridge that gap. We know what happened was wrong, but how do we bridge that gap without offending each other? How do you go into a group of people and like knowing they might come from places of like poverty or broken homes? How do you not treat them like they're a charity case? Like how do you do that adequately without embarrassing them or insulting them? And my answer would be, mine anyway, would be you go to college not to learn how to be a cop. You go to college how to learn and how to teach yourself how to think. And the rest of your life you're gonna be thinking. And my answer would be there is no definition as to how to do that. There is no right way. There is many wrong ways. There is a way you find out. Like you'll figure it out almost. And I hate to say it like that, but it's give and take. It's going in there with the mentality that okay, I understand these guys might have many of these things I've learned over the last 8 years, right? But I could be the first person you meet in this group home, and I'm like, "What's up? What's your name?"
Claire.
Claire, you're awesome. I love your shirt. I love Jordan. You love Jordan. Hug me. And then Rob could be like, never look at you once. But he might love you more than I do. because everybody's different. So you wanna go in there knowing these things. You just wanna go in there prepared, but not overbearing. Not like, again, I'm gonna save the day. You wanna make sure you're not intimidating. You don't scare people. And a lot of times these cultures and these, not just urban communities, but that's what we see them talk about a lot, are afraid of you much more than you're afraid of them. And we're not animals, but that's what it is, because we're treated the way we are, and we think the way we think, that we're more afraid of you than you're afraid of us. We don't know you.